Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Heather Ryan, and I will be your presenter today for the webinar about introducing how to navigate through Brightspace for families. Today, we're going to be looking at some of the most commonly used tools that are available in Brightspace that are especially being used and highlighted by our K through 12 or kindergarten through grade 12 clients. I'm just going to bring up. All right, here we go. Okay, so allow me to introduce myself. My name is Heather Ryan. I am a customer success specialist from D2L. I've worked with D2L for the last couple years, and in that time, I have been supporting our clients in the K-12 or the kindergarten through grade 12 um, area, specifically focused on Ontario, but working with clients uh, across all of D2L. Prior to my time working with D2L, I was a teacher. I taught for 11 years in Seoul, South Korea, where I worked primarily in the elementary panel. For the last 6 years, I was in Seoul. I taught grades 4 and 5 at an English immersion private school in Central Seoul. On the presenter slide here, you can see an email address, K12ONT or Ontario, at d2l.com. Any questions that you have pertaining to today can be directed to the K12 email address that's posted there. I've also included my Twitter handle on this slide. That is a great way to get access to any kind of tips and tricks that are being, that are there for you to utilize, or tool updates or releases of those updates, as well as any upcoming events that might be happening. So it's a great way to find out kind of the happenings at and with regards to Brightspace. Here, look at the morning across the globe, and a little bit. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what is Brightspace. Then we will move on to looking at getting started. So, what does it look like when we first land inside the Brightspace platform, and what does that mean? We're going to look at some of those, the 5 most commonly used tools, and I'm going to be taking you through these tools from the perspective of a student, since that's what you'd be seeing at home. There are different kind of experiences inside Brightspace. So there's like the teacher experience, for example, and then there's also the student experience. So today we will be looking through Brightspace from the eyes of, or through the eyes of a student. And then at the end, I'm just going to leave you with some resources that will hopefully be able to support you at home as you support your students in their remote or learn from home practice. So jumping forward here, we know that the impact of COVID-19 is a global phenomenon that everyone is dealing with, and it can be very impactful on our obviously our health, but also our safety and our well-being. And as parents or guardians and families at home, we're concerned about wellness and, of course, the continuity of learning for our students. At D2L, we recognize that we are all in this together, and we are here to help support as best we can. As we've been working through this, one of the things that we keep hearing is that our parents and our families need a little bit of help navigating the system at home, especially today when we don't have that physical face-to-face contact with our educators. So it makes it a little bit more challenging for us at home. So we heard you, and we're here to help, and hopefully this webinar today will enable you to feel a lot more confident working with your students at home. Additionally, I just want to highlight here the importance of also taking care of yourself as a parent and focusing on your own wellness. It's pretty difficult for you to lead your family successfully through everything, whether it's your home practice, your education. There's a million factors that you're maneuvering as the leaders of your family, and it's pretty hard for you to do it if you're not taking care of yourself. So I just wanted to take a moment to encourage you to take care of yourself, to know that every effort that you are putting into assisting the students in your household with their online learning is a benefit, even if you don't think that you're doing it right, or if you're, and your brain is saying, I'm not a teacher, I don't know how to do this. Every support and word of encouragement that you provide to the students, and every effort you make to learn about more about the platform, to be able to enable them and encourage them, is a step forward, and you're doing wonderful things by taking the time to um, learn a little bit more and engage with them and support them as your students move forward with this. So congratulations to you for taking the initiative to be here with me today. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time, and I have my fingers crossed that I'm going to give you some information that will help make life a little bit easier. So moving forward, I just wanted to introduce us. So we are D2L. So D2L stands for Desire to Learn. And we like to say that our friends can call us D2L. So please go ahead and feel like you're one of our friends and part of the family, and go ahead and call us D2L. Just wanted to make sure that that there's some clarity here behind some of the terms that you might hear used interchangeably. So I just wanted to highlight some of that. So hopefully we can prevent some of those confusion pieces that might be there. Today we're going to be looking at some of these terms. So basically, these are some of the overview sort of thing. D2L is the company. So if we were to use an example or an analogy for, we might look at a company like Apple, and they would be the company. And then our product is Brightspace, which is the learning management system that allows the hosting of course content. So if we continue with the analogy of Apple, the product from Apple would be the iPhone, for example. And then inside our product, inside Brightspace, we have a variety of tools, and we're going to be looking at 5 of those tools today to help assist you with your supporting your students at home. If we, again, use the Apple analogy with the iPhone, so the product being the iPhone, the tools inside would be like the apps, or the things that do the work. And then the final piece here would be the Brightspace community. Brightspace community is an online community that is where D2L hosts all of our documentation, our video tutorials, any of those help pieces that you might need are there. Additionally, if you were ever having any problems or had questions or use cases or needed a little bit of assistance, there's also an online community where customers and users of Brightspace are able to come together and ask those questions and support each other with answers. But also the D2L community is there to support that as well. So it's a wonderful online community where you can work together, like I said, with other users or clients and D2L experts to find some of the answers to the questions that you have. A little background on D2L. One of our favorite kind of company mottos sort of thing is that we're working our hardest to transform the way the world learns, one student at a time. Over the years, we have worked very, very hard to develop a learning management system to support students on all different levels, from kindergarten all through their grade school and high schools, into higher education, and even into corporate life. So we've always stayed dedicated to our mission statement, which is transforming the way the world learns. And we like to really highlight the fact that we are a Canadian based company that was actually born and raised in Waterloo, Ontario. We also like to, we consider ourselves a learning company that believes that technology should and will pave the way, not get in the way of learning. So with kind of those 2 mission statements and that kind of focus, we've reached over 1,000 educational institutions. We have 20 years of experience, and we have millions of users worldwide. So we have the experience, and we're here to help. And hopefully it will be, we're here to help you today. So moving forward, I just want to highlight some of the information here that we're going to be looking at today. So these are some of the 5 most commonly used tools in the kindergarten through grade 12 area. And these are the ones that we're going to be focusing on today. So we'll be looking at tools like announcements, which in some organizations or districts, school districts or school boards, has been renamed the news feed. should be noted that D2L and Brightspace is an incredibly customizable learning management system. So what may appear in one classroom or course may look different in another one, depending on how the educator has designed their course. So the same thing goes with at the district levels with regards to the naming conventions of some of the tools. So the ones that are often renamed, I have noted here. So you may see announcements tool as the news feed, or you may see the assignments tool listed as the Dropbox in your organization. Again, it's very important to keep in mind that the learning management platform is incredibly customizable, so there will be differences in the views, and you will see that today in some of the examples that I'm bringing forward for you. Then we're going to look at the portfolio tool, which is a fantastic documentation tool, as well as what the content tool is, and then the activity feed. So we're looking at the purpose as well as what they look like from the student view throughout the presentation. So getting started here, we are looking at where we come when we first log in to our space. Now you will notice today that I am going to forego the login process. The reason that I won't be highlighting or going through the login process is because each individual school district has their own way of doing it, whether it's through their school board webpage, whether they have a special landing link or login page. It's individual based on the school's actual, or the school district's actual plan of how they want that to be done. In the event that you don't know how your school board or school district requires you to log in, or your student to log into Brightspace, or if you're unsure of your username or your password, I would encourage you to contact your teacher, your educator for your student's course to get that information. They will be able to provide it to you. But once we've logged in, we land directly on the school board or school district's landing page, and that's what you see as a screenshot in front of you here. So here we see who is logged in. So that blue circle there, or oval there, goes around to confirm the name and the initials, or the photo if it's been updated with the profile picture for the student who has logged in. So that's a way to confirm, especially if you have multiple students in your household, whose space you're in. Once you've logged into this space, you will see all the courses that a student is logged into. So for example, a secondary student may have a math course, a civics course, an English course. They would see all of those courses here, and then they would be able to choose which course they wanted to go into and move forward to them. If a student is only enrolled in a single course, so like many of our kindergarten through grade 8 students would only have their homeroom course, for example, you might only see one of the chiclets or the cards here to click into and choose from. Any kind of board announcements that or district announcements that were being released from your school board would also show on this page. So those would be the information that's being shared from the general organization on a whole. Once we choose our course, so we click into one, it would take us to the course homepage. So from the school board or school district homepage into the course homepage. Now here you can see there's two very different kinds of course homepages that are showing. And they look quite different. So it's important to just, again, for me to just remind you that they are customizable based on the teacher's choices. So some of the things that you might see changed or different here would be the banner, so which is this picture that goes across vertically here. So we see they're both quite different in their design. The messaging in the banner is completely customizable. So on the left here, we see that the teacher has created a welcome message, whereas on the right here, we see it's just simply the name of the course, which is also reflected at the top here, where it says grade 10 science, or it says Brightspace classroom. If you choose the Brightspace Classroom option, it would take you back to this page here, the course homepage. If you choose the little house beside it, it would take you directly back to the school district homepage. So it depends on where you're trying to return to for those two options. Here we see content announcements, etc., going across the screen with some icons. These are kind of, they're just fun picture kind of graphics to be able to support either our younger students or to make the page look a little bit more fun and engaging. But also we find that the icon pieces that are here are wonderful for our students who are early readers or who are ESL or ELL students, English as a second language or English language learners. So sometimes I use acronyms and then I have to double back and correct myself with the full words. So excuse that little double back there. So what we see here, yeah, those icons are wonderful there, but we also have the ability as a teacher or an educator, they can go ahead and change that to use just the list view, which we see in the grade 10 science. So those are just a couple of the customizations that you might see at the top there. In addition, the design of the overall structure of the page can look quite different. So here we see an equal panel of activity feed and the announcements tool, whereas on the grade 10 science piece, we see that the activity feed is taking up a little bit more real estate, and we have a widget, or a widget would be a piece of a web page that provides information. So we have the science of the week or scientist of the week widget over here, as well as the activity feed widget in the grade 10 science, the widgets for activity feed and announcements showing in the Brightspace classroom. When we're looking at all these pieces, sometimes we think, oh, it's so overwhelming. There's lots of boxes there and icons and I'm not sure what they do. Don't worry, it's all pretty simple. So if we look on here just to help navigate through the what are all these pieces and what are all these symbols, so we can see the different buttons. So like I mentioned, the little house will return to the home page. That's the organization or the school district's homepage. If you click on the name of the course, so in this case, it's the Brightspace Classroom, it would take you back to the course homepage. The icons are there showing, they are the nav bar or navigation bar. And then on the far side next to where we have our login and our name, we would see these 4 pieces, and these are consistent across the platform. So you see the waffle, which is number 1. It allows you to look at any of the courses that you're registered in. You would have your email piece, which allows for that communication, email and chat pieces that allows for communication within your course. And then of course, anytime you're receiving notifications, they would show up there as in the bell area. So it gives you a little bit of idea what's going on that page, I hope. So once we have moved forward and we've landed in the right course page, we have a few different options that we can look at. Now, before I continue, I want to reassure you in case you're actively trying to make notes or take details down here. This session is being recorded and the slide deck will be made available to you. So on the Educator Webinar website where you actually registered to participate in the webinar today, we will be posting a copy of the recording as well as a copy of this slide deck. So please do not panic and think that you need to take notes or anything like that at this point. Just hopefully sit back and enjoy the content that's being delivered, knowing confidently that we will be sharing this information with you later. So I meant to tell you that a few slides ago, but jumped right into it instead. So just a little side note there. Once we come into the course, or once we come into our course, which is where we are now, on the course homepage, we have a few options of things that we can do. So a few of the options would include checking the activity feed or the announcements widget for current posts. Then it would be to look at the content tab for looking at any kind of information or looking for any kind of reference material or new units that your educator has put into your student's course, or information that they want to look back on. And then of course we have our assignments tool, which like I said, sometimes is called the Dropbox. So that tab is there for us to look at any kind of assignments or pieces that are requested to be submitted by the teacher. And we will be going into all of those and looking at them in a live kind of demo. So don't worry there. I'm going to take you through all of those as well. So those would be kind of 3 starting points for kind of, I guess, like a checklist, right? For what you want to do with your student as you start, as you begin your day of learning sort of thing. Another thing that you're going to see throughout the learning management system is what we call our HTML editor, or sometimes called the WYSIWYG, which stands for what you see is what you get. This is a tool that is, or a variety of tools that is provided in throughout the platform, and we'll see it a few times today. There are a lot of buttons and symbols, and sometimes it can be a little confusing. So I thought we would go ahead and highlight what they are there for you. So some of the ones that I want to highlight as unique to D2L and unique to Brightspace include the one that is number 1, labeled Insert Stuff. Insert Stuff might be one of the best titled buttons that you could have, because it does exactly that. It allows us to bring all kinds of different things into the learning management system, or into Brightspace for your students. And we'll see some examples of how that's been utilized by the teacher in a variety of different ways throughout the demonstration later. And then the other one would be the quick link button, which allows us to bring in other tools from the VLE. The reason I'm just highlighting those is just to clarify what some of those terms might mean, in case when you did go through it, you might be a little bit you might be questioning what they are. Anyway, like I said, again, this will all be shared with you and available to you. So don't panic and think you need to make any notes right now. I know if it was me and I was sitting in the parent or guardian role that you are today, I'd probably be making as many notes as possible. So we're going to actually hop directly into the learning environment system here, into Brightspace, and have a look at the content inside. I am going to try to keep us on track here for about a 45-minute presentation. So we're at about 20 minutes in, so hopefully we'll be able to stay on track with that today. I'm just going to switch over here to my learning environment. So just bear with me one quick second while I do that. And let's see here. So here we are in my learning environment space. I'm just going to, there we go, make it a little bit more full screen here for everybody. Okay, so what we've done here, set up my demo environment, and as you can see here in my Brightspace class, or my Brightspace landing page, I can see that I've logged in as Lenny the Learner. So that would be my student's name. So whomever in your household is logging into Brightspace, we would see their name first and last, as well as their initials in this little square here, or a photo if they've updated their profile inside the environment. So that would be where you could confirm who has logged into into Brightspace. In this corner, we would see the customization from your school board or your district. So it may be the symbol for the school board, or the logo, for example. In my case, of course, it's my working demo environment, so that's why it's showing as D2L Brightspace, but yours in your environment would show the specifics of the district. This would be the banner, and again, this may be totally customizable and different, but in my situation, they're just welcoming me through, and they've used my name here to make it a little bit more friendly and engaging for me. So from this page, the organizational page, if we were receiving information, so for example, here are some resources that were maybe being shared by my school board, I could find that here, or any kind of, this might be the social media feed for your school board. My school board is D2L, so that's why they're showing the tweets that are coming in here. But again, this is coming from the school board level, or the school district level. For us, our student here, Lenny, he's enrolled in 2 classrooms, it looks like. So he has his Brightspace classroom, and he's in an Ontario classroom course. So we would see all of his courses here if there were multiple, like there are in this case, but sometimes there's only one little chiclet or card panel here that we can click into. We're gonna go into Brightspace classroom for Lenny and see what he's been doing in the classroom. So when we start thinking about this, and the reason I'm going through it, showing it from a student perspective, is because this is going to be the environment that you're working in. This is going to be the environment that, as you're kind of we've heard the term kind of shoulder surfing over your students. So we're not looking at the window into the classroom, for example, anymore. We're now part of the classroom. So we're kind of watching over their shoulders, making sure that their education and their learning is progressing. So if you hear me using the word shoulder or the term shoulder surfing today, that's kind of what I mean, looking over our student's shoulder and helping them as they work through it. So that's the intention of showing it from the student perspective, which is what we're going to work through today. So now we've come into our Brightspace classroom here at the top, and we can see the navigation bar across the top with some of the tools that we're going to be looking at today that my teacher has added in here. If you see this little chevron here, it just means that there's more tools available to you, and they're just hidden in that little drop-down menu. So if you do see that and you want to expand it, you could probably find some more tools that are there versus the ones that are most commonly used across the top. When we're on the course homepage, we can see two of our widgets. Remember, widgets are boxes that share information inside a web page. And we have our activity feed widget and we have our announcements widget. Both of these tools have different purposes and different roles, but they're commonly used to communicate directly with our users or our students. I kind of like to think about them kind of as being like a course bulletin board in some ways. It's a way for teachers to put that information front and center for students, whether it's to remind them of a activity or an assignment that the student needs to complete, or if it's just an opportunity for them to engage with and provide some interaction with their students. There's a variety of uses for it. So for example, here, if we look at the announcements widget on the right-hand panel here, we see an image of one of my colleagues actually who did a demonstration yesterday for principals using one of our tools called the video note tool, where she's actually created a welcome for her students. So you may see video options like this and it's showing up inside Brightspace. The wonderful thing about the video note option, or the ability for an educator to add in a YouTube video, for example, using the announcements or the activity feed options, brings it directly into the platform. So one of the wonderful things one of the wonderful pieces for that means that we don't actually have to see our students leaving the platform and opening another window and going to another website to be able to use and view different materials. So for example, the video note feature is a video tool that's built directly into Brightspace for teachers to use. So a student can click on this video and watch it without actually having to go somewhere else to see it. Same thing if we're embedding a YouTube video, like we see here on the left under the fitness challenge post. That's a YouTube video, and the student can actually watch it directly inside the platform. They wouldn't have to exit and open a new window and go into YouTube to be able to see it, which prevents that and minimizes those distractions that could be a possibility when we start moving outside of the Brightspace platform. Additionally, here we can see any kind of activities or assignments that our teachers have posted, whether it's in activity feed or in the assignments tool. Now, just to keep in mind, your school board or your school organization may be only using one tool, so you may only see the activity feed, you may only see the announcements, you may see both of them. I'm going to be highlighting both of them because of that reason, but they do a lot of the same communication pieces and engagement pieces across the platform. So that's the video tool and the widget here for the announcements, and then below that we can see another video note here, as well as some of the content that a teacher has imported in for the student to work through and to kind of develop on. On the other side here, we can see some of that information in the activity feed for students. So looking at the activity feed, one of the things you'll notice about the activity feed is one of the style of it. And it's meant to be styled very much in the kind of the image of social media. So if you're thinking about Instagram or Facebook kind of thing, where it's a message, possibly a video, and then there could be some commenting information or spaces in there as well. So if we scroll down and we look at, let's see here. Lenny, okay, so we look at Lenny's page, we can see that Lenny's put some comments already in here. So we can see that he's made a comment about the video that he's seen, and he has kind of engaged with his classmates as well as his teacher by putting those comments in there. When we look at activity feed, some of the things that we can see here, for example, like in this fitness challenge, are assignments that a teacher has posted to the course homepage. So in this assignment, it's been pinned to the top, which a teacher or an educator may do to just bring it to front and center for a student. Maybe it's an assignment that is due this week, for example, and they want it to be the first thing that a student sees. If it is unpinned, it would go based on the date and time into the chronological order of the activity feed. So this being April 13th would then fall into that sequence if I did unpin it. What I can do here in the activity feed is I can open up and look at any of that expanded messaging from the educator to follow along. I can watch a video from YouTube here based on what I'm doing. So there it is directly in the environment for you to view, and you would play that and it would pull it through there for you. I double clicked on it there before. If it is double clicked, it will open a second window for you. I can see here that there was something that was required for this assignment that the student has submitted. So it shows me there that I have completed or at least submitted information. So it's a wonderful way to just confirm the things that have been done or maybe still need to be done. So for example, if I scroll down here, I'll find another example. Except looks like Lenny has actually been right on top of his assignments and doesn't seem to have any that were open here. In the event that there was a new assignment, for example, that Lenny had not completed, this button would be a bright blue and it would say submission. And so that would be that I would click on that to move forward with submitting to the appropriate assignments Dropbox. Okay, so that would be the activity feed, and then the announcements tool is over here on the right. So just a quick highlight and overview of those two. We will look at them and see them a couple times moving forward as we kind of dig in a little bit deeper into some of these tools. But again, they're just a great way on the course homepage for a teacher to put that information kind of front and center for our students to work with. If we come up here to the content tool is kind of for the educator, it's almost like their virtual teacher's binder. It's a place for them to bring in all of their content, their course units and lessons, and store it inside Brightspace. For a student, this is where the teacher is sharing that information with our student. So if we're looking at this page here, we see a few different things. We see some of the different units that are available to our students. So these are the 5 units that our educator or teacher has created for our students, for their classroom, for them to work through. We can see a pretty bird's eye view here of any of the work that is, or the content that is inside each of our units, and how much of that material the student has actually worked through and completed. So Lenny hasn't got through too much of his work here yet, as we can see, but it does give us that idea of what we need to be working on. And if we click onto them, it drops them down and launches the unit to show us what's inside of it. So we can launch the entire unit for us to work from, or if we know where we are prepared and ready to work on, what components or lessons we're ready to, we can also go into those individually there as well as a student. Here at the top where it says food memory game, this is where I left off from my previous working time or my previous login. So as a student, I could be plugging away at my work, and then all of a sudden it's time for dinner. So I shut down and I have to go. But you come back with your student and you want to get them, kind of back into where they left off. It's a pretty easy way for you to just click into it, and it moves forward into that next into that piece for you to dive back into that content or that learning experience. Just going to bring it back here from that page. So what you saw there was that learning game that was there. That was actually an embedded website. So what that means is inside Brightspace, an educator has the ability to bring in content from other web pages. So in this case, it's a memory game, a digital memory game that we brought in. But as you could see, it builds it directly into the system, which prevents us from having to see our students exit out of the learning management system into a different area or a different website where they might get distracted or pulled into I always like to think of like the YouTube rabbit hole, right, of like cat videos and random things that are advertised and brought into it. But the embedding of it just keeps the student inside a certain area or keeps them inside the learning management system of Brightspace so that they don't have to navigate out of it. So just a second here while my Wi-Fi catches up to me here. Okay, so from there, this is where we can connect with and look at any of the pieces of the content that our educators have built out for our students that they may be needing to reference or to work through, whether it's the lessons that are learned or the material that's there. It's all available for our students. So right now we're inside Brightspace Classroom. We're in unit 3 of 5. So there are 5 units in the course and we are in the reading and writing unit. And then we can see the pieces of the unit that are here. So as a student or as a parent helping your student maneuver through, these arrows up here at the top will let you move through the unit components and look at those different pieces as you're going through. This is actually it was scheduled for April 13th, so it's no longer available for us there, but that would have been a virtual classroom opportunity for students to be together with their teacher, to be able to maybe have that video conferencing piece and be able to talk about that. This would be just have a login piece here and it would take you into that room. But we can see any of the content that's there. We can see the ability to take it to a full screen view if we want to. We also have the ability to do maybe some printing here. So for example, this is a worksheet for a student to be working through. And it may be something that you want to actually print for your student to be able to work on a paper base. You can also download it if you wanted a copy of it as well. So those pieces are there for you to help with supporting your students. And again, they can navigate through the content material simply by using the arrows that are here at the top, and wherever they leave out of, for example, here we're in the favorite book, it's going to show us that piece in the continue box at the top. So again, just waiting for that Wi-Fi to catch up to us here. There we go. So see, we left off at the favorite book, and that's exactly what highlights here for us as we come through. So the content tool is where you find any of those learning supports or learning materials for your students. Now, after a student had maybe gone through this content material, they might have had an assignment or information that they need to check on or they want to follow up on. So if we click into the assignments box, which can also be called the drop box, we're going to find the list of any assignments that our students have from their educators. So the information here on this page, again, gives us that bird's eye view or that dashboard view of any pieces that have been requested from your educators that our students need to complete. So we would see the name of the assignment. We would also see any category that it's been assigned to. So in this case, the teacher is using English language arts and math as their categories, or perhaps no categories at all. We would see the title of the assignment. We would see any kind of additional attachments that were included with it, whether it was a document or a photo or a link to to a video, for example. So we would have those pieces that would be all showing there. The completion status would let us know what our student has done and what they have submitted. So whether or not they have submitted it, if they have, or what and how many. Here it's showing it that there's been a submission and they've included one attached file when they've done it. So we would see that information here. As a parent or a guardian, you might be curious about any of those evaluation pieces or assessment pieces. So in the event that your educator is using a numbered score and it was evaluated, the assignment was evaluated, we would see that information here. We would also see under the evaluation status if there was feedback that had been provided to the student and whether or not it had been read. So it would show up here as feedback provided, read or unread, for you to be able to follow up with that content there. And then of course, the list of any due dates that have passed or that have been assigned to assignment you would be able to view here. They do show 20 on a page, so if you're looking at this and thinking, gosh, my student should have a lot more work that you want to look into, you can do that here, and it would give you any of that historical view. So in the event that your educator has maybe been running a blended classroom, so they're doing some of it face-to-face and using online tools, you may have quite a few assignments here that are stretching back pre-COVID that you can look into or have some more information on. For our purposes here, though, we're just going to have a quick look at kind of some of these pieces here. So if we wanted to click into an assignment to follow up on what it looked like or what the content of it was or the requirement of it was, we can click into any of them and we can see the assignment information that's there, any due dates, any attachments that are there. We'd also be able to see any kind of rubric or evaluation pieces that a teacher has created. So in here, teacher has attached the rubric to show you exactly what they're looking for. Any kind of how that final grade or final overall scoring would be showing here. So it just puts everything really up front and there for you to follow if you want those details. And then at the bottom here, we can see that this is a text submission form of an assignment. So that means that the student has to input their answers to whatever the content that is requested from the educator. They would type it in here. But just to note here, we see across here, there's our HTML editor appearing for us. So it gives us lots of opportunities to customize and utilize the tools that are in it for our students, including our symbols and our insert stuff tool that gives us some of those options for things like video notes. So it's nice to see everybody this morning. If I was a student, I could put this video note option in there. I could add photos, I could add links. There's a variety of things that the student can do. They also have a spell checker here at the bottom. They have some accessibility pieces. So that would be in the event that we wanted to make sure that the content we were the content that we were typing in here was going to be able to be read on a tool like a screen reader for those that are hearing impaired, for example. We also have the ability to preview it, or if we want more real estate to be able to work on this, that little toggle button here of arrows at the bottom lets us expand it to full screen, which gives us more working space for our students. And then when they were finished, they would hit this blue button here to submit it through to the teacher. And then it would come through with showing it would give us that preview here. So it would just let us see what the submission was and just the content of the content of what the assignment is, and then some further details here. When we were done though, we just submit it and away we go. And then it would confirm for us here at the bottom that submission was complete. I can view the submission if I want as a student and look into it if I want to. It tells me that it's late, but that's okay. All right, so I'm just going to click here back into our Brightspace classroom. It's going to take me back to my course homepage. Now, another incredibly popular tool that's used by a lot of educators is our portfolio tool. Now, I'm looking at it from the student perspective, and you might be thinking, geez, Heather, I don't see portfolio anywhere. Portfolio is accessed a little bit differently. What we do with portfolio is we click onto our language learner's profile here. Now, I'm impersonating Lenny the learner because clearly I'm not a student and this is just a demo site, but that wouldn't actually be showing there for you. You would just see profile and my portfolio notifications, etc. here. We're going to click into my portfolio, which is going to take us over to the student experience for Lenny's portfolio here. So here it is. So Lenny, again, he's in 2 courses. So we would have to choose whichever course he was in. So for us, again, we've been working with Lenny in the Brightspace Classroom. So we're going to click into his portfolio for Brightspace Classroom, and we're going to see some of the pieces that he has added to his portfolio. So here, they show up here, these little chiclets show up here at the top, and Lenny only has 3 pieces here, but any additional portfolio submissions or evidence that he puts into his portfolio would show up here in chronological order. A few things to just look at here on the portfolio homepage, things to highlight. One is the Add to Portfolio button, which allows us to bring items in from, to upload items or to bring pieces in from our Google Drive or our Office 365. Now, it's really important to note here that Brightspace integrates directly with both Google Drive and Office 365. So if a student is working on a document, for example, using a Google tool such as Google Sheets or Google Docs, and that's where they're going to be submitting it from, they can simply make sure that their Brightspace and their Google are logged in, and they can bring it in here directly from their Google. So mine is logged in directly to my Google information, and it will automatically log me in to pull things from my Google Drive. And you can change that information here at the bottom. In the event that you have multiple students in classroom, email address for your Google Drive, done. Additionally, from here, we have the print class pass card, which I'm going to look at for in a moment, as well as the ability to use filters here, which are categories to help us to search for certain items. So maybe you're looking for something that was tagged from science class, for example. You could type that in here and search those categories. Okay, so before we look at how a student would put information into their portfolio, I just want to have a look at what an actual portfolio item looks like and see inside it. So you do have a few options here. You'll see these little ellipsis pieces, or these 3 little dots here, and those are some of our editing dots. So for example, you can see that here you have the ability to spotlight it, which means that it's the ability to pin it to the top of the portfolio, to download an item, or a student could choose to delete an item. So perhaps it's something that you don't want in the portfolio anymore, you would like, it's not something that, or you're not pleased with the way it looks or something to that effect, you could delete it there as well. We would see the image that was there. We would have the ability to title our item here and to change that or edit it using the ellipsis box. In this portfolio piece, we have an audio reflection that's been recorded by Lenny, so that you could listen to there. Again, you could delete it and re-record it here in the event that you wanted to. Lenny's also added in some of his own ideas here. You can add more as well, or you can edit and delete them using the ellipsis button. And then any of those categories that I've added to it, or as an educator has added to it, or that Lenny himself has added to it, can be viewed here as well. So those search categories. And then up on the left, or sorry, on the right piece, we can see the educator feedback. So in this case, Lenny's teacher, who was me, left a comment here on his photo that he shared. So you can see that feedback piece here. And in the event that a teacher has assigned any kind of a rubric to maybe a portfolio assignment or a portfolio piece or a checking of learning, sometimes we're seeing like restatements of learning from older students, secondary students being done here, or activities, the rubric will be there. So it would show there in the event that it had been attached to the piece or utilized by the teacher. So for those feedback pieces, those commenting from those pieces from the teacher, that would be where you would see that here. All right, so I'm going to take myself over actually to my iPad so that I can show you what it looks like for a student who is using the iPad at home to collect on with their portfolio. So just give me a quick second here while I get the mirroring piece. Okay. So what you see now, slowly coming up in front of you, there you go, is the landing page where you come in using your and at home kind of perspective, you'd be looking at using either the My Device mode or the Family Device mode to be able to access your students' information. If your student is a younger student and has been using Funster, for example, in their classroom, you're going to be wanting to look at using the Family Device mode to be able to access that. If your student is older or has their own device, they can log into the My Device mode. So that would be, once you've logged into that mode, into the My Device mode, you would never have to log in again to put information into your portfolio. The reason for the family device would be in the event that your students at home, you have more than one student at home and they were sharing a device, you wouldn't want student A to be putting their portfolio items into student B. So it's for a shared device at home, whereas My Device would be only, once student A is registered, it would be only putting information into student A's portfolio. So for our purposes, we're going to choose the family device mode. Now, family device mode gives us two options. We have at home and at home with Funster. Funster is an audio guided workflow that was developed for our students as young as junior kindergarten, all the way through to grade 3. Kind of our early learners or early readers. Like I said, it is an audio-driven evidence or learning documentation tool, whereas the at-home version is more, it's geared towards our older students. It's a little bit more mature in its interface. So just, actually, I'll just show you quickly the at-home version. Here, this is just really quick, just so you can see what it looks like. So the at-home version is a much more kind of mature looking piece. And it gives us the ability to do some more typing and different pieces inside here. So we could title our work, say something about it, make those audio recordings. So this is geared towards our older students, whereas let's see here. It's just taking a second for it to come through here for me. There we go, slowly but surely coming through. All right, so once we come back to it, so what we're actually gonna do today, as the piece of the demo is actually go through that at home with Funster piece. So as a student, what I would do, or as a parent at home who was shoulder surfing with a student guiding through here, if I was a JK or up to like grade 3 or early reader kind of focused, or maybe an ESL student, you might choose the at home with Funster. And it's like I said, it's an audio guided workflow. So we'll click into that here. And this is the Funster monster. So he is asleep, so we're gonna wake him up.
Well, hey there.
And we're gonna get him ready to go and collect some information for us.
Can you show me your pass card, please?
So here's my Lenny the Learner pass card. It's a QR code that logs me into my portfolio.
Can I see some of your cool work?
And now my Funster wants to see some cool work. So I'm going to click the picture time.
Hold still.
And there's a picture of 2 of my dogs in a frame that one of my nephews made.
Do you like the way this looks?
This is the only choice that's inside Funster. So like I said, it's a guided workflow, but this is what we would use in the event that it was blurry or it wasn't a picture that we were really happy with. We're going to choose yes.
Can I hear more about your work?
This is where a student
tap the button to start recording.
This is where a student would provide a reflection onto that learning. So it might be a description of the photo. It might be to talk about their feelings about a learning experience or learning opportunity. It really depends on the requirements of the portfolio are, or the level of the sample. It gives me the opportunity to make an audio recording that will be available on my evidence moving forward. When I'm done, I just click all done.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
And then it will take me through to tell me that everything has been confirmed and that and now my monster has gone back to sleep. It was finished and I wanted to and go back. I can hit the X in the top left corner here, and it'll take me back to the beginning of my workflow. Okay, so my Wi-Fi here seems to have just taken a bit of a challenge here for me. Just give me a quick second while I pull it back up here. Okay, so now I've come back into my Brightspace classroom. And when I come back into my Brightspace classroom, there's a couple things here that we're gonna have a quick look at. First is going to be, you might have been asking yourself, where did you find that pass card? I couldn't find it. If you click on here, this print pass card button, it's going to bring up a window for you, a brand new kind of tab here where it will show you your individual pass card for your student. So it will bring up this card that you need, and as you saw today, it is scannable from your device. So whether it's your phone or your iPad, you don't have to print this out or download it for you to be able to utilize the QR code. However, if you're using your device kind of on the go somewhere, you may want to have a copy of that paper QR code with you, really depending on where you're utilizing the portfolio tool. But you can scan it directly from a screen if you wanted to. Again, you can print it by going to, or produce it and print it by going to the print pass card inside the portfolio piece. Any new information or any new pieces that you've brought into the portfolio that the teacher has approved, you would see here as coming through as the next piece of evidence. So that's a quick overview of portfolio and what that looks like for a student. In the event that you wanted to use the My Device mode, so the one that would be geared towards a student who has their own device that they wanted to be able to log into once, and then anything that was collected through the portfolio, the Brightspace portfolio mobile app, they would click here into the log into the app and could either enter in the specific login code that was here from their school board. So it would not show as K-12SR, it would show as the login code for Waterloo Region District School Board, and it would give their web link there and for their login. Or you'd be able to scan the QR code that shows there and use that as well. And we're going to go back to the home page here, the Brightspace Classroom. That has given us a very fast overview of the main content tool, or the main tools that are used inside content. So we've looked at the content tool itself. So the piece here that houses and stores any of the learning materials shared by the teacher. We looked at the announcements tool, or the widget that's here, which is also a tool that shows on the navigation bar. We looked at the activity feed widget and how it can be used to share information in that social media style with students directly on the course page. So it's very up to date and very friendly. It's often our day-to-day posts. Remembering that the activity feed and the announcements kind of act like those bulletin boards for educators to put that information kind of front and center for their students. We looked at the assignments folder with its drop boxes and how to submit an assignment, and also how you can, as a parent supporting at home and you want to reference any of those feedback pieces or the assessment pieces that come from our educators, we know that we can find that information inside the assignments box there as well. We also looked at the portfolio tool by going into My Portfolio here at the top, and I gave you a quick demonstration of the Brightspace Portfolio mobile app that you can use on any device, whether it's a iOS or an Android operating system. It is available on both, and the app is a free app that you can download from the respective app stores. So those are there for you as well. I think that we've kind of given you a pretty good overview today as to some of those pieces that are available. So I'm just going to bring up my current the slideshow, or the deck here. Now, our next piece that we're just here on this deck is just showing you again how you can find the My portfolio, and there is a video link that's there for using the portfolio at home, because I do know that I went through it quite fast for you and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. So the links are there for that video. Additionally, if your district is using Brightspace for parents, which I didn't go into details with today, but if it is something that your district is using, here's some additional information, including a video tutorial link that'll be in the slide deck for you to reference at a later time. And that takes us right through to our resources. So one of the things that has been a fantastic thing to see in the last few months is the strength and determination of school boards and school districts across Canada, across North America, around the world, really, of how they've stepped up to support and do everything they can to support parents and students learning from home. I've brought in a few of my favorites that I've come across in the last little while to highlight here for you. A few from Ontario, and then of New York City, and then of course some information there from Scholastic and Pearson, who are publishers, and then from the Government of Canada on some science education resources as well. I would encourage you to explore the resources that have been prepared and by your own local school district, but also to think about looking at some of the other ones as well. So for example, if we're looking here at the ones that I've listed here, this is the one that's showing from, coming from Keewatin Patricia's District School Board in Northern Ontario in a little city town called Kenora. They've done some incredible work at looking at a lot of online resources that are available to families, and they've done some a great job in putting them into themes and then leveling them based on what age, like the age appropriate group that they could prepare for. So you can click right into them. If it matches what your student's doing, gives you that description. But they've done it for all different kinds of applications and put that there that's ready and available for you to use and to look at and to support that learning as a parent. Again, school boards across globally have been working to build these out. I'm just highlighting here some of the ones that I think have just done an exceptional job and kind of gone above and beyond to really make that impact on those supports. Here's a great one. This is the Thames Valley District School Board, and they've also prepared a learning at home resources similar to the one that I just showed you, but additionally, Thames Valley has kind of gone above and beyond to prepare some learning materials that are side of the technology or screen-based focused, and they are available to support learning opportunities at home in different ways. So it's a wonderful and creative, teacher-inspired, teacher-written weekly document that you could use to support your learning here. And again, this is just an example of one of my favorites that I've come across in the last little while. So I think Thames Valley has done an exceptional job here working on it, but they also have their Learn from Home website that provides all of those online resources as well. And then the final one that I just wanted to highlight comes from DSBN, or District School Board of Niagara. District School Board of Niagara, again, has gone above and beyond and done a wonderful job to curate all of those online learning resources for you, and divide them up to be supportive based on different divisions, elementary, secondary, special education help. But the one I wanted to highlight here was the mental health and well-being, as those are really important things for us to be focused on. And what they've done here is really kind of aggregated some tips and tricks, as well as some websites to help support, oh, there goes my Wi-Fi maybe, to help support what their that well-being piece, that piece with their families. So I do encourage you to have a look at those websites and dig in a little bit deeper into the materials that are there for you, and look at your own school board or school district's supports that are there, because they are doing amazing work to do everything they can to support educators and students, but also parents. So the content is there for you, and that you're able to access it for your own board. But if not, here are some resources that you can use to explore those services or those supports. From D2L, we have a really exciting new website that's going to be launched in the next few days. It's currently just going through its final evaluations, I guess is a good way to put it, or content just review. But we'll be seeing that coming really soon. So for more information on that, you can find it on the D2L website, or we will be kind of screaming loud and proud on D2L's Twitter page. So you can follow us at D2L if you're on Twitter. But we will be launching a support guide for parents. So just really helping to stream and resources, and putting it all in one place for parents and families that are looking for more information. Again, just a few little tips and tricks here for you to think about as you're building your learning from home environment. Things to just be cautious of and aware of, and making sure that you're doing the best for yourself and for your students as you develop that and move forward. Once again, I just want to remind you that the recording for this webinar presentation, as well as the slide deck, are going to be made available to you. You will be able to find them on the same webpage where you registered for today's webinar, and they will be there for references for you to look at moving forward. And just finally, I just wanted to extend my many thanks for you taking the time out of what I am very aware is an extremely busy time to join me today. I appreciate your efforts to improve your own experience as you shoulder surf with your students and encourage their development and their learning as we navigate this learning from home, remote education, new environment. So thank you very much for being here today. Again, I appreciate your time, and I wish you and your families the very best health and wellness as you move forward. Again, thank you for being here, and have a wonderful afternoon.